My name is David Gosen, and my company is Rocket Fuel, and we are an artificial intelligence predictive marketing platform. So the question I have for you today is, are you ready for predictive marketing? And the reason that is important is, as many of you are aware, we operate in a world where there is real fragmentation. Fragmentation of consumers, fragmentation of media, consumption of content across TV, laptops, mobile, iPads. There is also a huge amount of pressure on delivering a return on investment for your marketing euros, pounds, and dollars. There is a real battle going on between the marketing director and the chief financial officer to say, I'm going to give you $1 of marketing budget, how much are you going to give me back? And surrounding all of this is data. And I think you will hear through many presentations today, data, big data, and how we use data. And for me, it's about smart data, how we use data and turn it into something that helps us make better decisions and informs us as to what we should or should not be doing. And there is so much data, there is so much quantity, oceans of data, that today, being able to analyze that data is virtually beyond human capability. And that's where you need artificial intelligence and you need machine learning. So you have humans and machines working in perfect harmony. And that's really important because not only should you be asking, are you ready for predictive marketing, but you should be asking yourself, are you anticipating your customer needs? Are you really understanding what your customer is going to be looking for? I remember when I started off as a brand manager, then a marketing manager, and then a marketing director. We used to say, are you meeting your customer needs? Today, it's about anticipating them, getting ahead of your customer so that you can deliver and exceed their needs, but through anticipation. And we live in a predictive world today. I have some examples on the screen, but when I flew from the UK yesterday, British Airways sent me a text saying my plane is delayed, okay? No surprise, but it was good to have that communication. I then got a text to say my gate is A10 and it's boarding in 20 minutes. They're trying to anticipate the needs. You look at what's happening in the automotive industry, collision detection. So before your car is going to be involved in an accident, the car is learning and is going to stop and brake before that happens. The thermostat, Nest, it helps you to control the heating in your house because it learns the way that you behave. It knows you don't leave the house till 9 o'clock in the morning or get home till 6 o'clock. And it regulates because it's based on that learning. And then there's traffic, and we all use the traffic sat-nav in your car, and it tells you, anticipates the problem, and tells you where you need to go. So what's happened is consumer expectations have continued to change. It's all about consumption first, and then it was about the rise of digital in the way that we managed consumer expectations. Technology became the enabler. It enabled us to do things previously that we hadn't been able to do, to reach consumers in a different way through multiple channels, to drive frequency at a relatively low cost. Then it was about relevance. You had to be relevant to your consumer, and you had to develop personalization, because personalization meant that you would get a better response rate from your consumer. And then there was automation, the development of programmatic media and programmatic advertising. And programmatic is a way to buy media, and it's very, very well established in the digital and online space. And in the future, all media will move to programmatic to certain degrees, but it will all move that way because it's a highly efficient way of targeting your market. But today, we've moved to anticipation and critically prediction because technology has enabled us to move further, to harness the power of data in a way that we couldn't have done previously. And that's because before, there was limited digital interaction, and by 2020, if not before, 95% will be digital. So you just have to think about the fact that today, maybe 20 to 30 billion connected devices in the world, depending on who you listen to. But that will continue to grow at an incredible rate, and everything will be connected. So again, more and more data is going to be emerging in terms of the way that we see this market evolve. So the new brand experience, as a brand, how complex is it for you today to reach your consumer? If you think about it, back in the 80s, and I think probably looking at the audience, maybe some people weren't even born in the 80s, you know, we had bank tellers, people in banks serving. Today, you have a smartphone app. I don't go to a bank, you don't go to a bank, everything is done online. So if you're a brand, how do you build that relationship? Maps, mixed tapes. What's a tape? You know, a playlist on Spotify is what you see that is curated for you by Spotify. And if you think about what happens in 60 seconds, okay? So this big wheel, all these things happen in 60 seconds. So as a brand, how do you connect with your consumer? And the problem is, today, a lot of consumers are actually ahead of brands. They have the opportunity to be more expressive. They have the opportunity to comment and make reviews. They have the comment to choose whether they engage with you or whether they don't, and you can lose brand loyalty in a snapshot. And the thing is, if you think about it, there are lots and lots of signals that are coming out. And this is the sheer quantity of data that exists today. You know, if you think about it, you know, 2.9 million emails are sent every second. 24 petabytes of data processed by Google, 50 million tweets a day. This means that we as old-fashioned marketeers have to change how we behave. And the phrase for me that explains how we need to look at the future is consumer scientists, okay? When, again, I was in the world of marketing, I was a good communicator. I was good at buying media. I might have been good at doing creative. Today, as a consumer scientist, you have to be good at all of those things. Understanding your consumer, you know, putting your consumer in the center of everything that we do. But you need to be a scientist. You have to understand the science of consumer behavior, and you have to understand how it can truly impact the customer journey. Because the customer journey now is no longer linear. It's no longer as easy as saying it's from there to there. There are many millions of touch points on a customer journey, on a consumer journey. And you have to be able to understand many, if not all of those touch points, to understand the motivations, the barriers, and the triggers to purchase your brand. So we are in a world where there are so many signals. And a quantitative engineer, one engineer sitting down at his desk, 1 to 2 analytical models a week he could probably do. AI, on the other hand, can do up to 5,000 models per week, and it will continue to grow. And this is because of the sheer quantity of data. And a lot of companies have a lot of data, but they don't know how to use it. And it's not stored or designed to be used in a way to inform the company. And this is where AI and machine learning can really help businesses be successful. And when you look at the companies that are moving into AI, now Rocket Fuel has had AI and machine learning for 8 years. Some of these IBM, developing Watson, Microsoft with Cortana, Apple with Siri, Facebook, the All Research Group, and Google with neural networks. All of these players are releasing AI engines as third-party APIs. You can't open the newspaper, magazine, listen to the radio without hearing about artificial intelligence. And the reason is because it is the next step in enabling us all to be successful in what we do within our business. Now, one of the things that I often hear is that AI is going to kill jobs. Okay? It's going to put me out of a job. But when we've done our own research, and there's some research here, 50% of people say that they support the role of AI. And some research that we've done actually shows that around 60 to 70% of people think it will enable them to do their job better, to perform more effectively and more efficiently. But what is critical, if we think about this consumer scientist role that we have to be, we have to change our mindset. We have to think differently about the way we approach the problems that we are confronted with today, if we want to be predictive, if we want to anticipate our consumer needs. Because using AI means that we should think about how we allow our consumers to access our brand. But access is only one part of the equation. Scale is critical. We all want scale. We all want to appeal to the mass market and deliver real impact at high volume. And to do that, you do need to anticipate. So one of the things that we talk about is moments. And moments are very important, and I'll say a little bit more on the next couple of slides. But understanding the right moment that the consumer wants to buy becomes increasingly important. And it becomes important because it's a question not about which single device that they're on, because you look at the individual and the person, because the same person uses multiple devices. Is someone more likely to buy in the morning, at lunchtime, or in the afternoon? How are they going to change throughout the day? What creative is going to resonate best with them? What is the message that you put with that creative? How can you track that throughout the customer journey? This is where you have to truly understand and have the capability to process all of that data. So the journey involves an infinite number of possibilities, and it's all of those interactions that are so important. But what we must do is think about all of those millions of signals and create intelligence. That's what we have to do to succeed in today's world. So if you think about the transformation that we have to move through as an industry, as we look at the future of advertising, as we think about where this is going, I've talked about the way that we started with digital marketing, what we call spray and pray. Yeah? We just did as much as we could to get coverage and reach. Then we moved to programmatic, and marketeers learned to buy single impressions in real time through a changed infrastructure. And the key word there was real time. Yeah? Real time. And again, think about this. What we do today has to be informed by what happens today. If we think about what happened a month ago, that's ancient history. Real time is the key determinant, one of the key determinants for the future of advertising as we look forward. And then we think about predictive marketing. And this is about those individual touch points, how we really capture those individual touch points to deliver that success. And you often hear about the law of diminishing returns. Well, here's the law of accelerating returns, because this is all about the sheer quantity of devices, interactions, users online, and in the advertising world and in the media world, the number of profiles that are available for agencies, for brands, for publishers in the form of cookies to understand. But it's also the number of daily programmatic impressions that you get at any time. So Rocket Fuel is a predictive marketing platform. We also buy media programmatically. We see 250 billion bid impressions, bid requests, every single day. 250 billion. And it's only because we have the AI capability to process that, to model it, to run the algorithms, are we able to provide a way for our agency partners and the advertisers to get better marketing outcomes and deliver that all-important return on investment. So the old model, and I think about this for me, when I started off in marketing, was generic audience segmentation. Now, there is a role for segmentation, don't get me wrong, but it is the old way of thinking, because a segment is backwards looking. You're basing it on behavior that you've modeled or looked at last month, over the last 6 months, based on something that's happened in the past. You're looking in the rear view mirror, okay? So just think about that for a moment. KPIs with basic things like traffic or reach or in-target delivery and specific actions. It really was pray and spray or spray and pray that you hit what you're trying to achieve. So that's the old model. The new reality absolutely looks at adaptive audience discovery. And the key word here is adaptive. It changes as you go in real time. It's optimized across the whole brand journey. And it's those moments, those specific moments that deliver the insights. And you have to understand each of those touch points because you can learn which of those impacts performance, which of those impacts conversion, which of those drives your brand awareness to a whole new level, or perhaps even creates greater purchase intent, depending on what your opportunity is that you're looking at. And what you end up with is outcomes based on decisioning. So again, back to intelligence, back to decisions as being critical. And this is what predictive marketing enables you to do. And we see 3 parts to a predictive marketing platform. There's an insights engine, okay? And this is the power to take all the data, the 250 billion bid requests a day, and turn it into insights. Then what you have to be able to do is to take those insights and deliver it, whether it's programmatic media, whether it's changing the journey for the consumer, whether it's looking at different routes to market. You have to be able to deliver that insight in terms of messaging. And then you have to capture the experience and understand the behavioral dynamics that you are creating when you are touching a consumer through each of these moments. And what you put those all together and you get the power to be truly, truly predictive. So if we think about some of the problems that we are going to face and how predictive can help solve them. The first one is clearly multi-channel consumer usage. Okay? This is multiple channels where the consumer goes. It's complex, it's difficult, and it's really important that you understand how to handle someone, whether they're on a laptop, tablet, mobile device. And the answer is you look at the person, not the device. You create a unique ID for that person based on all of the moments that you have an interaction with, all the signals that they send you. So think about people, not devices. Audience segmentation, as I said, is only one part, and it's a backward-looking part. Okay? Looking at real-time moments is forward-looking, doing it in real time. Everything that we touch on a daily basis informs a decision that is being made in terms of anticipating those needs of consumers there and then. So it's real-time learning, not just basic demographic segments. The classic marketing funnel, again, that we've all been educated with, is too oversimplistic for today's hugely complex world. So what we need to do is think about the non-linear customer journey. It is no longer a straight line, and we need to re-educate ourselves to think about this much more complex and less linear approach that our consumers are buying. When you take third-party data, it doesn't differentiate your brand or your agency. If you are a car manufacturer and you buy or lease third-party data from someone, guess what? Your competitors do exactly the same thing. How can that be differentiated? So what you have to do is you have to really activate your own first-party data, the data that you collect, the data that you store, because that shows you the specific moments that are very relevant to your brand. Not your competitors, but to you. And using and leveraging that data will create a significant differentiation for you in your marketplace. But data alone, as I've said, does not solve anything. It really is about decisions based on intelligence rather than instinct. By all means, have a gut feel, but enable yourself to be more intelligent based on the data, informed through technology, powered by artificial intelligence. Because if you manage to do all of that, then you will be ready for predictive marketing, because predictive marketing is here and now, and it has arrived.